Georgia Allen from hosting GA for Justice. And Georgia, are you there? How you
I
doing?
am here. Hello, hello, hello. I'm
Yeah.
excited. We got an exciting show for our studio, for our audience today.
Yeah.
As always, I bring you greetings. I'm Georgia Allen, your host for the Noonday Show every Thursday, GA for Justice. As always, we want to thank Henderson Vaughn, aka the Dream Maker, aka Seven, aka I almost said 757,
I
Captain
bet you.
E5 in the 757.
No doubt.
Who opens up the line so that we're able in the airwaves so that we are able to bring to our listening audience a conversation every week, a conversation for information, a conversation for correction, as well as a conversation for transformation. And it's important that we as a community have a place where we can come to share our thoughts, our ideas, and share what is going on in our community because we recognize that many times persons have a tendency to speak or attempt to speak for us. We've seen it in the music industry, we've seen it in the arts, we've seen it in television, we've seen it in the movies, we've seen it everywhere. Um, when something happens in our community, everybody knows it better than we know ourselves. And
Mhm.
so we host this show to bring you a different flavor, new people, new ideas, young people, people who have been involved in the community for a number of years, people who have been working on behalf of our community, whether it's been historical information, whether it's been political information, religious information, even. And sometimes just plain old community information with regards to our young people, what they are doing, and they give us straight information instead of what the media tends to put out there. So today we have a special guest who's coming to us. Her name is Lola Truitt, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Lola in a minute. But as you know, I'm an advocate and a strong proponent of Umoja, of the Kwanzaa principles. I try to live by them, and I use try because as human beings, we tend to make mistakes. And so I'm not perfect, but I do try to live by these principles. And Umoja or unity is to strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, the nation, and the race. And Lola Truitt, she's someone who is a person who believes in pulling our community together. She also believes in the importance of collective work and responsibility. It's important that we come together. So Ujaima is another principle of Kwanzaa that we like to talk about, and that is collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our community problems our problems. So if there's something going on in our community, if we hear about an incident down the road, recognize if it's in our community, it's also our problems. So to make them our problems and solve them together. And so collective work and responsibility is all about responsibility to come together to solve our problems and not just, push it off or wait for someone else to come in and solve problems for us. That is our responsibility to get that done. So, the young lady that we have coming to us today is Lola Truitt. She was born in Williamsburg, Virginia in the 1980s. As a child, she had a heart of humanitarianism and still does to this day. She believes in giving back to the community. Now, back in 2014, Lola began her journey of studying African history, which led her to spiritual awakening in African spirituality. She began creating educational videos regarding true Black history that many of us are not aware of. And this ultimately led her to become a member of the Black Panther Party, because as she began to study her African history, she wanted to know more. And so ultimately, she joined the Black Panther Party. But once she became a member of the party, she saw many things and many areas of division in the Black community. This then led her to leave the Black Panther Party. And then ultimately, today, she has began her own activist group to work on issues and concerns of the community. And she is called the Queens of Mayat. So we are pleased, we are excited to welcome our queen, Lola Truitt.
She's not here yet.
She's not here yet. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, Lola should be coming on shortly. I spoke to her a little bit ago, and she was getting the computer together, and hopefully she's not having too many challenges with technology. But with that being said, every day we should be practicing some principle of Kwanzaa. That's what I feel. I think that once we get in the habit of living the principles of Kwanzaa, we will begin to see a different outcome in our community. Working together, building together, being determined, um, knowing our purpose. NIA is a really good principle to live by, and that is to make our collective vocation, what we do, how we build, where we go, the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. This is critically important because what we want to make sure that we're doing is that we're developing our community, that we don't leave it as a wasteland where we see food deserts. Let's get in there and begin to develop and change the outcome. Where we see a loss in healthcare and facilities, it is our responsibility to get in there to identify these things that are missing in our community, and then contact the persons who are responsible for changing the outcome. Keep in mind, when we ask our council members or our state legislators or our congress people to act on issues and concerns that we have, that is their responsibility. Now, once they act on those issues, once they provide resources to us, we are to then become very good stewards of the resources that are provided so that ultimately our community grows and become better. Again, while it's the responsibility of our elected officials to provide resources, and you said, well, why should they provide programs? Because we pay into the tax system. Therefore, when we pay into the tax system, just like one community says, I want my pothole fixed, and in 24 hours, the pothole is fixed, it should be no different in your community than it is in their community. So it's critically important that we make sure that when things happen, that we have a direct response to those who are elected to provide resources back to us. I was looking for my phone. Okay. I always like to keep it handy. I think she's calling me right now. So we're going to see, make sure everything is good. Yes, ma'am. Henderson, you sent the StreamYard, right?
Huh?
You sent the link, right?
Yeah, I sent it to her about 11:30, 11:20.
Check your junk email, because sometimes it slides over there, and there's been some changes since the last time you were on. with StreamYard. So it may not go directly to your email. It may go into your spam. So let me know. You got it?
I'm going to check my spam now.
Okay.
I have nothing.
And it's Henderson Vaughn. It should say Henderson. Mhm. Okay. She doesn't see it in either one of her mailboxes.
It's what is it, Queen?
Let's see.
The one that I had. Let me check. Let me go back to my email. I'll send it
Okay,
again.
so we'll dealing with it. If you'll send me an email, then I will send something back to you. So just send me an email. Okay.
That's it. I'm sending it again.
Just a second. Oh, we have a little bit of.
Tell her I just sent another one.
Okay. Okay, what she's going to do is send me an email as well. And that way we can make sure that everything comes together. But anyway, okay. Again, we want to make sure that as we start the new year off, that we focus on the principles of Kwanzaa. And even today's show, the show is about unity. Why Black men and women need each other. Why it's important for us to come together. Why it's important for us to work together. Why it's important for us to make sure that we do the things that make us stronger. And we can do those things when we have the right information. So we're going to make sure that the things that we do are favorable to our community. And so we're looking at ways, and Lola is going to be sharing with us some things that we can do as a group to be stronger, work together, and make sure that we're doing the things that are helpful to all of us, and especially to our couples and our families. So with that being said, we are going to make sure.
If you want to text me the email,
I just sent it to you through the email. I just forwarded you her email, and you can just cut and paste it.
Yeah.
So, all right, we do apologize today for the technical issues, but we're gonna get this. We're gonna get this down pat. The new year comes in, and there's a challenge here or there, and guess what?
That's a.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different address.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a different one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
I was saying, I'm like, wait a minute.
I know. Yeah.
That's the wrong one.
Yeah, that's the new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we have been communicating, but I don't know. So we'll get it back on track, and
Oh no, ain't no problem. Ain't no problem.
everybody will have a great show. We got a great guest that's coming on. We're excited about her, and I love this photo of her.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. And now, send it.
Yeah, if it's the first time going to that email, it'll probably go into her spam first,
Oh,
or junk email. So I sent her a message to double check and make sure
okay.
and everything, so we can get back on track, and talk about our community, talk about how important it is to have strong families, how important it is to be united. And one of the things I always like to talk about is how important it is that our men are gatekeepers of our community to avoid having um, the type of not only people but influences in the communities that are not necessarily in our best interest. And so
Right.
we always wanted to look at what we can do to strengthen the unity between our men and our women and our children and our families, so that ultimately we come out better. One of the things that we have a tendency to do is get frustrated. And so I always try to encourage people uh, not to get bogged down in your frustration, but um, make sure that we learn how to fight our way out of these frustrations and not let them hold us back, but use them as a means to push us forward, and not see them as a negative, but just a temporary struggle to get us to where we actually need to be.
Right.
So,
At least the weather's great today.
I know, another beautiful day here in Virginia Beach. If you haven't been to Hampton Roads, you want to come and join us sometime and visit with us. We have 7 cities, all cities with their own uniqueness, from Norfolk to Portsmouth to Chesapeake to Virginia Beach, and not to forget uh, Hampton and Newport News. And they're all great cities for you to come and enjoy.
Yeah, make it your destination stop. And leave the bag for us.
Exactly. And leave the bag right here. Absolutely. So we want to make sure that we have
She might have had to check her spam because I sent it twice.
right. I just sent her a message to double check the junk email, the spam email, etc. Okay. Okay, she's clicking on now.
Oh yeah,
she'll be here shortly.
She just wanted to match her picture. I'm getting ready. I want them to look and see. Hey, is that a picture or is that live?
He said you just want to match your picture, to make sure that you look just like that beautiful picture that we have up there for you. Yeah, but I didn't use the one that I used the last time, because this one it just reminds me so much of the Black Panther series and the women of Black Panther. And when I saw that photo, I said, I want to use this one this time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully you'll be clicking on shortly, and we'll bring you on the screen.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, sometimes it can be challenging, especially when they do their updates. So I know there's been a recent update not too long ago. So hopefully you'll be able to click on shortly and be here live and in living color.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, getting back to our principles, we definitely want to make sure that we continue to keep our standards, can continue to keep our traditions, continue to keep our principles, because that's what makes any community strong. Um, even folks who uh, don't have good principles, if they make them up and they follow those principles, even if they're not the greatest in the world, it still unites them and keep them moving in a similar or the same direction, simply because they identify with those principles and they identify with those traditions. And we can see it in our nation because those traditions and so-called principles that they have used for decades have worked well for one group while they haven't worked so well for others. And so what we want to make sure that we do is we want to make sure that we put our principles and our value system and our morals and our standards front and center, and that we repeat those day in and out, and that we also share them with our children and generations that's coming behind us, so that we're always able to move our families and our community forward. So, so
It was,
are you
I get,
seeing anybody yet?
nah.
Mhm. Okay. She says she's clicking on now.
Okay.
Are you on your phone or computer? Both. Okay.
Mm.
We're gonna have to bring you back again because
Yeah.
I'm look, we have 50 minutes worth of information coming from you, and we're not going to be able to get our whole 50 minutes worth of information, so we're going to have to bring you back so we can get the rest.
Yeah. That was a great camera shot they had of you.
That's what I heard. I
Yeah,
have not seen it.
you haven't seen it.
No, I have
Yeah.
not seen it. For those who are listening right now, we had an election here in the city of Virginia Beach, trying to make sure that we can elect people who will work on issues that we care about, that we are fighting for. And so on Tuesday night, as always, Virginia has an election every year. And then when they add in special elections and they add in primary elections and all of that other stuff, we find ourselves with 2 and 3 elections in one year. So that what we're sharing is, apparently I was on the television screen at the event on Tuesday night with regards to a recent election that was won by the candidate that we supported, in order to hopefully get some positive things coming back into our district, some positive things coming back to our community, but
Yeah.
especially positive coming back to our young people. Because that's critical. It doesn't do us a lot of good to elect someone from office if they can't bring home the bacon. And so we are focused more on individuals than we are on particular parties, because we want to make sure that the people who are serving are persons who are uh, of the quality, the standards, and the traditions and the principles that helps us to be a great community. So we did have an election in Virginia Beach, and the candidate of our choice did win. So he is now in Richmond, Virginia, which is our state capital, and we're looking forward to him working on policies and issues that are very important. We hear a lot of people talk about being tough on crime. Tough on crime is not a message. The message is prevention of crime, and what are your policies and programs to make that happen? Because folks who generally are tough on crime or use that as their mantra means, oh, we'll just tell the cops to just shoot everybody that don't like them. And that's their idea of tough on crime. Or we'll tell the cops to just lock up
But
a certain group of people.
yeah, I know their ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
their ancestors, police, are turned over in the grave
Right.
because after slavery, a black man could carry a gun and it won't all that kill him.
Right.
So why is it all of a sudden modern day police,
Right.
they scared to get out of a car, they walk up to a car and go pull a gun on you? And back in the day,
everybody had a gun.
Everybody had a gun, but
Everybody.
won't nobody going around just shooting people.
Right.
You know, so the policies that they put in place is really to take away your rights, to make you, you know, and to say you're still in slavery. But even in doing slavery, people had guns. I mean, blacks had guns. So I mean,
Absolutely,
that is,
absolutely. We, every family member that I mean, not just family, everybody that I know.
mhm.
When I was growing up, all my neighbors all had guns.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know anybody that I grew up with did not have a gun, and that was black people and white people. And back when I grew up, um, there was basically two groups of people here in the city of Virginia Beach.
right.
Um, I want to say we may have had 3 Asian people in our school when I grew up. We had one person from East India, from the country of India when I grew up. I want to say we had one. And then we had the people who were Quakers. And they were still wearing their Quaker outfits when
Yeah.
I grew up. You know, you very seldom see anybody who is a Quaker wearing the hat or any of that stuff today. And I'm sure we probably pass them in the grocery stores and around all the time. Okay, it looks like we're probably still dealing with some challenges.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it says that I'm backstage now.
Okay, she says she's backstage. So
She is.
yeah,
I don't see her. She should click on it. Because once you click on it, I could see her when she come in. But
yeah. If you click on and then say go into the studio. Did you click on go into the studio?
Do you see I love do you see my message in the chat?
No,
is it,
I don't see a message in the chat.
you know, because
Comments, chat. Hey, let me take a picture of everything that I'm seeing so then you know what I'm
Okay. No, I don't see any comments. Mm.
okay, check. I just sent you the picture, love.
nothing in the chat. Because once you click on the link, it'll bring you into, you know,
Into the studio.
right. You come right into the studio.
I did. Y'all want correct?
Um, I'm I'm not the engineer, so I don't know all of those pieces.
She can text, you know, give her, tell her to text me and give me, you know, text her my number and I'll
Okay.
see.
I'm gonna send you Henderson's number and let him talk with you because I
Yeah.
don't know all the little ins and outs.
And if not, then we'll just put her on the phone and talk to her. And then we'll bring her back. One thing in the private chat is yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's make sure. I always like to double check.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm texting her your number right now.
Okay. So I'll best come off the screen for a minute
Okay.
when she calls.
Okay, we are live GA for Justice every Thursday at 12 o'clock noon on the Best of the 757 with Henderson Vaughn. And we are having a little bit of challenges today in getting our guests in the studio. And so hopefully we will be able to get the guests in the studio shortly so that you can hear from her. And we can talk about our topic for today, unity. Why Black men and women need each other, the importance of our Black families, the importance of our Black children, and the importance of the connectivity within our community and within our family. Um, as many of you know, one of the things that's important to me is following principles, having standards, having traditions, making sure that we promote our value system and not allow other people to promote a system that is not in our best interest. And so, with that being said, I try to follow the Kwanzaa principles throughout the year and don't just wait for 7 days. I then reevaluate what did I do well in the area of Umoja or unity. What did I do to try to bring the community together? What did I do in the area of Ujima, collective work and responsibility? Um, did I work to maintain businesses in our community? Did I support the businesses? Did I invest in the businesses? Or did I walk past the storefront? Or did I walk past? Or did I not click on a website that sold products and services that were made, manufactured, produced, and marketed by a Black owned business? So, all of those things are important in terms of outcomes, in terms of ensuring that at the end of the day, we have better outcomes for our family, for our community. We have better outcomes for our children. And so I look at ways personally and things that I personally do that is valuable to the community. And I keep a check mark on the things that I do. I keep a check mark on whether or not I went to a Black owned business. And it's not enough to go there. Did I purchase from the Black owned business? Did I tell others about the Black owned business? That I look for ways or times that I can meet at those businesses to conduct perhaps my personal business or my personal meetings to make sure that I'm financially supporting them, but I'm also encouraging others to financially support those businesses. These are things that we can do all year long. And what we need to do is be intentional. That's one of the things that I think has been missing is intent. We must be intentional about supporting our own businesses. And what I mean by that is we're always riding around, we're deciding whether or not we want to eat at this particular business or whether we like to eat somewhere else. And so we determine if we want to eat at the Golden Arches or we want to eat at the Colonel or we want to eat at these various places. When we need to step back and say, okay, instead of doing the Golden Arches or the Colonel or, Pepe, let's say on this day of the week is the day of the week that we are going to eat at a Black owned restaurant. And let's decide that instead of eating at some of these other places, on the run, let's grab this bite or do this. Let's decide that, okay, let's make a menu out for the week of what we're going to have in our homes at lunch or dinner time. And then instead of going to these other places, let's say on a weekly basis, if we had gone to all of those places, this is how much money we would have spent. So let's take that and put it in the Kwanzaa bank. Okay, let's have a bank for Kwanzaa. And every time we decide that we are not going to go to these various establishments, we determine how much money would we have spent had we gone. So we drop the money in the Kwanzaa bank. And then when we decide that we're going to go to a Black owned business, we go to our Kwanzaa bank, we pull out X amount of dollars, and we go maybe and buy dinner or buy lunch. Or we pull money out of our Kwanzaa bank and we go to a particular business. And when we go to that business, we buy a book or we buy clothing, an attire or jewelry or a picture for our wall, or we're redecorating our bedroom or our bathroom or wherever. And we use this Kwanzaa bank to ensure that on a weekly basis we spend with our own businesses. So we can all establish a Kwanzaa bank in our own home by simply getting a jar or something that is already here. You don't have to go out and buy something new. And if you do go out and buy something new, check out what's online that's from a Black owned business, or check out in the local area the companies that are there that you can purchase from. In our case, we have Positive Vibes. We have a store at Lynn Haven Mall. We have MP Island. We have the Happy Cafe. We have any number of businesses that we can support, and we'll just use the Kwanzaa money to support these businesses from the Kwanzaa Bank. And there are just many different ideas that we can use in order to make sure that we are supporting our businesses. Cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, our own shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. We're talking ownership here. We're talking control. We're talking to ensuring that our businesses flourish. Some of our businesses have been around a long time and probably by now should have been franchised, especially Black owned bookstores. It's an excellent place to go and have conversations. It's an excellent place to go to discuss what's going on in our community, but read about it and share the knowledge that you have from the many publications, be it a magazine or be it a hardback book. Those are items and areas where we can have these conversations within our family to talk about who we are, where we came from, and the many things that have been accomplished and achieved as a community. Again, cooperative economics, to build, not just build it, maintain it. Our own stores, our own shops, and our own businesses, and to profit from them together. It is not enough for one person to profit. It is better when we can all profit together. And that could mean that a business that we initially thought would be a small business becomes a conglomerate, which means now we have stock in that business. So we're all profiting from that business together. Our children are now working for that business. So they're growing and they're developing. And because of the knowledge that they have and because of the ingenuity that they have now spun off maybe a subsidiary, or another part of the business is now still a part of the original foundational business, but they now have various other entities that are now supporting the original business. And so there's so many things that we can do as a community, as a people, and we need to rethink how we're operating and what we're doing and how we can do these things better. Now, the picture you see on the screen is the person that was going to be our guest today. But of course, as you can tell, we are experiencing some technical issues. And when we experience technical issues, the show does not stop. That does not stop the show. The show continues to go on because at the end of the day, we still have a message for you. And whether that message comes from our guests, or whether that message comes from me, or whether the message comes from Henderson Vaughn, we will continue to provide you with information. Hopefully, as I said when I started the show, we have a conversation. And that conversation is to provide you with information. That conversation is to provide corrections where we may see areas that need to be corrected. But ultimately, this conversation that we have every Thursday is truly for transformation. It's truly a conversation so that we can hopefully begin to transform how we operate as individuals, how we operate as a family. Yes.
I'm gonna just go ahead and you talk to her over the mic.
Okay.
She's on the mic now. You can enter. Go ahead. Talk.
All righty. Thank you so much. Hello, Lola.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Absolutely wonderful. And I just had an awesome conversation with my audience. I'm so glad that you're here. And as I share with the audience, you're going to talk a little bit about unity, why Black men and women need each other. So I know you're not going to be able to get into everything that you wanted to, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to. I'm gonna go over a few of my notes.
Okay.
But about the unity.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you brought up Kwanzaa, and Kwanzaa is something that was created so that we could start trusting one another again and start working together in our community like we did with our ancestors before. And that's something that is really important. We've gotten away from that. I noticed a lot of Black people don't have that umoja mindset when it comes to working with other Black people. The subject I was going to be talking today was family, because that is very important and that's what's missing in our community. I was going to talk about the 6-year-old that shot the teacher. And
yes.
How heartbreaking that is, because there's a backstory that they're not talking about on the news. And I was going to go into that a little bit, and it has to do with the subject of family. His mother had the firearm in her house.
Absolutely.
She said that she had it hidden, and her son found it and brought it to school. I'm a mother of 3 children, and I packed my children's backpack. So I would have saw if my child had something they didn't supposed to have in their backpack.
Correct.
Again, the families used to teach children about gun safety. My grandfather, he used to go shooting when he was like 12, go hunting. And they knew that that was something you did not play with. He taught his sons about gun safety. It's something to protect. And if you pull it out, you better be ready to take a life. And if you're not ready to take a life, you don't take it out. That was something that was taught in Black households, because a lot of us had to use firearms for protection and for hunting.
Absolutely.
We have lost that dynamic in our families now. this situation, they're trying to villainize this little boy. Originally, they said the child brought the gun to school to show his friends. And when a teacher turned to take it from him, I believe personally the gun accidentally went off. The police is trying to say that this young man, now he's not a 6-year-old boy, this young man intentionally shot this teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how they're trying to turn this incident into a crime?
Correct.
And that's what the news is trying to demonize this child. And I knew he was African American from the way that we're talking about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because notice when it's a Caucasian child to shoot, this young boy got on the wrong path, had a bad day. It's always, they never make him take responsibility for what he did. It's always someone else's fault why he killed some people.
Absolutely. And there's always these health concerns and health issues and mental
Right,
health.
mental health.
And we just need to get him some help. That's what we need.
Right.
That's always the case. We need to get him some help.
They didn't take him to Burger King.
No, they didn't take him to Burger King. I'm sure of that.
Oh my goodness, that's right. And they didn't make sure he got a vegan meal neither.
Mm.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm looking at. It's like this little boy needs his community more than ever.
Absolutely.
Because now they're trying to make him take responsibility as an adult when he is a child. He don't know the full ramifications of his actions.
Right. At
He
6 years old.
Exactly. They're trying to make him face charges as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone needs to be charged, I believe the mother should be held responsible more so than anything because that was her gun. And what I learned in gun safety class, when you have the children in your household, you never leave it loaded.
Absolutely.
And then you always keep it in a lockbox. You never keep your gun loaded when you have children in the house.
Absolutely.
Now, if the gun had a safety feature on it, which I always keep my safety on my gun, my children don't know how to take the safety off. And even if they did get it off, it's not loaded, so they can't harm each other or anyone else.
Right. Right.
So that's what's heartbreaking in this situation. This little boy needs his community to stand behind him and say, no, he is not a grown man. He is a child that made the wrong choice. He did not have the correct education on gun safety. And that's why this incident, which it was an accident, took place in the classroom.
Absolutely. Instead of automatically saying that he shot the teacher intentionally.
Right.
The other thing they're not talking a lot about is the fact that they have no they don't have the protection that when you walk in the school building, there's a place where it would set off an alarm to let people know.
A metal detector.
Yes, there was no metal detector. There was none of that. And had they had some of those things in place, then there would have probably been a different outcome.
Right.
So, so there are adults that should have some responsibility when it comes to this situation.
Right. And the school do need to take responsibility because I used to work at my children's school in Williamsburg, Virginia. I used to work at Magruder Elementary School. And most of the time, children don't know where things are in their backpack. And as an adult, you help them take their lunch money out and you help them put their books back away. We used to have the students take their stuff out to put it on their desk in class. So we would have saw if a child had a gun. So you're telling me nobody in that school saw that this child had, and guns are heavy too, compared to his size.
Exactly. A 9mm?
Guns are heavy. And I need them to investigate that a little bit more. This is why we need to kind of I would love to have some kind of community gathering for this little boy because they're trying to make him face charges as an adult if they can.
Right.
That's what they're trying to do. When I heard the police automatically say this young man intentionally shot his teacher, I knew then they were going to vilify him.
Right.
You have this man who then killed 4 college students. They're trying to see, can they give him a lenient sentence?
Absolutely. And
it's
that happens over and over again.
Yeah, we need to have some kind of conference talking about this a little bit more so they can do a thorough investigation. Because then there was a rumor that he was like also just trying to show his friends the gun. Because that's what children do when they see something that is cool to them, right. They want to show it off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He wasn't maliciously trying to shoot anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's another situation that, again, collective work and responsibility to maintain, build and maintain our community together and make our community problems our problems and to solve them together. So here's a community problem that has taken place with this young man, which automatically becomes our problem. And then the solution to that problem also becomes something that we're responsible for making happen. So you're absolutely right. This situation, it is very, very tragic what took place. And unfortunately, we don't actually get all of the information. They only piecemeal the information out to us. And then 90% of the time, what they piecemeal out is not accurate information. So it'd be interesting to talk to some of the children in the classroom and hear their side of the story, because children will tell the truth. If you ask them, they'll tell you exactly what happened. Whether adults like it or not, they do tell you what happened. So
and I agree with you 1,000%. Children do tell the truth of what happened, and I guarantee, if the truth was to come out, it would be noticed. If he would notice, he shot her in the hand, so that means that she was trying to take the gun away from him, and the gun went off. That's not intentional.
Right.
The children would be able to say what happened. If anything, she should have took the children, right? And took herself and removed them from the classroom and called someone to come and help, security or someone,
to
disarm this child. Why wasn't that done? Instead of us trying to place the blame on a 6-year-old, we need to look at the adults in the situation.
Right. And again, firearms, when I grew up, just like you, firearms was for two things: one, for protection, and two, for defense. If the KKK showed up at my house, then we knew exactly what that firearm was going to be used for. It was going to defend our home. It was going to defend the women in our home. My stepfather always had a gun, of course, and not only one, he had several. And we all knew that those were not to be played with, that they would they could be very dangerous, and they were only to be used, again, as you indicated earlier, we used them for hunting or we used them for protection. We are getting close to the end of time, and I'm so sorry that we had so many little hiccups today, but we definitely want to have you back, because we definitely need to focus on why Black men and women need each other, why that is so important. And you kind of shared with us this lady who had a gun in the house. And I don't know, I haven't heard whether or not she's married or whether or not she had a significant other or anything like that, whether or not she had a community that was surrounding her, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, or grandparents, anything like that. We haven't heard any of that yet. But we do know that an incident took place here in the city, I want to say, of with Newport News or Hampton. I'm trying to remember which one. I think it's Hampton.
It was in Newport News at Rich Neck Elementary School.
At Rich Neck, okay. And so those type of incidents are generally preventable. And so we need to look at it from a community standpoint. It is our problem, and it is our job to solve that problem together. I'm so sorry. We're coming up on the end of the show. So what I want you to do is give your final comments, and then I'm going to give mine, and then we'll push this to the next time so that we can have you on the air with us, where everybody can see you and know who you are and the work that you're doing. And again, we have with us today Lola Truitt, and she has a group, an activist group called the Queens of Mayat. So we have Queen Lola Truitt to give her final comments for today.
My final comment is this for today, is that Black men and Black women need one another to produce strong children. We need to start showing and healing Black men and women together so we can start producing healthy families. Peace, love, and blessings.
Peace, love, and blessings to you too, Lola. And I agree 100%. Strong families, strong kids. We want to be protectors of our children. We want to be gatekeepers. Our men need to get back to that simple thing of gatekeeping, because that was critical. That's what made us strong. Our men determined who and what came in and out of our communities. Anybody and anything was not allowed to come in our communities at one time. So I'm a firm believer that we need to get back to the foundational principles that made us strong, that made us united, that held us together, that helped us to build strong businesses and flourishing communities. And we maintain those communities. And where our communities have fallen down, we need to hold our elected officials accountable, because they're in charge of the purse. And if they're in charge of a purse that we put our money in when we pay our tax dollars, then we want that money to come back into our community to be used for the good of our community. And that's just the bottom line. So with that being said, we want to thank you so much for coming and joining with us today. We're going to continue this message. We're going to continue the fight to ensure that we make sure that the next generations do not have to go through what we're going through now and what our forefathers went through before us. So with that being said, again, this is Georgia Allen with GA for Justice every Thursday at 12 noon. We welcome you. Please share it with many others. And again, we're going to have Lola to come back and focus on that topic again, the topic of unity, why Black men and women need each other, because we do. And as I shared earlier in the show, we used to hear people saying, I can do bad all by myself. Well, guess what? You were right. You tried it and you did bad by yourself. And that ultimately had a negative impact on our community. So let's decide that we can do good united. Thank you. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. You just been listening to GA for Justice with Georgia Allen, former president of the NAACP in Virginia Beach. And we will be back next Thursday, and maybe no difficulties. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yes.
Right.
So
Bye-bye.
bye, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
All right.